Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Property Show. I'm Jayashree Kurup. I'm editor MBTV, and I have with me our CEO Sudhir Pai. We're very pleased to welcome all of you to this wonderful B2B session where we will be talking about the market, the various aspects of what the consumer wants, what's happening in the market, and we'd be happy to take questions from from all the audience members. After we finish, first Sudhir starts with a with a keynote address. Then we have a very eminent panel. Let me introduce the panel to you. We've got Mr. Kishore Jain, he's President CREDAI Bengaluru. Mr. Errol Fernandez, he's Secretary CREDAI Bengaluru. Mr. J.C. Sharma, he's the past President of CREDAI Bengaluru. He's from Shubhat Developers. Ashish Purvankara, past President CREDAI Bengaluru. Austin Roche, President CREDAI Karnataka, and Mr. R. Nagaraj Reddy, Vice President CREDAI National. Thank you so much for joining us. And Sudhir, over to you. We'll start with a keynote address from Sudhir Pai. He's the CEO of Magic Bricks.
Thank you, Jayashree. Before I begin, I'd really like to thank for having extended an invite to us to speak to all the CREDAI Karnataka members. Anil, thank you very much. I'd also like to thank all the panelists. Really looking forward to a cracker of a discussion shortly. And thank you to all the participants for having taken your time to participate in today's session. I'm hopeful that you will find the insights actionable. We are in the midst of unprecedented times. As a species, we've never been in a kind of a lockdown. All of us have found ourselves in the last 2 months. How the economic fallout of this is going to affect our industry is the subject of intense speculation and discussion over the last 6 months. What we hope to do is to bring some clarity to the discussion by presenting to you the emerging. Before I begin, Deepak, will you just put up the presentation?
Sure.
Okay, before I begin, a quick intro of Magic Bricks. I'm sure all of you know Magic Bricks. And the intent of doing this intro is not to do any chest thumping. Apologies if it comes across that way. But what I'd like to share with you is the scale and reach. Deepak, go to the next one. I'd like to share with you the scale and reach of the Magic Bricks platform, which in turn makes us uniquely qualified, I would submit, to share insights which we believe are a fair representation of what's happening in the market. So if you look at it, in the last 12 months, we have had more than 25 lakh unique and registered buyers who have been searching for a home to buy on the platform. Monthly traffic has grown to about 25 million plus, which means almost 1 million people a day use the platform. We also have traffic and listings coming from more than 300 cities nationally. Apart from that, besides residential buying, we are also into commercial, rentals, plots, PG. More recently, we have started distributing home loans. We've also started offering a bunch of property services and ancillary services on the platform, which all of this really makes us not just the largest platform around, but also one of the widest platform in terms of the number of services that we really offer to our customers. I also wanted to share with you a peek into what goes into all these research reports and the insights that we share. Primarily, data for all of this comes from 3 different sources. One, we conduct occasional surveys with our users. That gives us a fair bit of data. 2, we also do qualitative one-to-ones, of course, with a smaller set of users. And the third and the largest source of data is really what users on a platform do, right? And we have the unique insight of being able to know what they are searching for, what they like, what they don't like, how frequently they come back to the platform, since how long they have been searching on the platform. So really, we have these dozens of data points per user multiplied by the millions of users who use Magic Bricks. So really all of these 3 sources, surveys, one-to-one interviews with users, and this platform data, all of which goes into the kind of reports that we bring. I'd also share with you that we are a 12-year-old organization and we've been doing research right from the outset. So which means we have data that goes all the way back 10, 20 years. We have also invested significantly in capabilities. Deepak, if you can go back. We've also invested significantly in capabilities. So we've invested in a strong editorial team that is led by Jayashree, who's moderating this entire session today. We also have a research team, which is led by Surabhi, who's also on the panel today, and she'll lead the Q&A at the very end. We've also invested in a data sciences and analytics team, both of which use the very latest business intelligence and data warehousing tools and our own proprietary algorithms that we have developed over time to really process all of this information into the insights that we sort of shared with you. For the sake of today's session, we have aggregated and cross-tabbed information from 3 different sources. One, we did 2 surveys in which about 5,000 users participated. The first wave was done in April in the midst of the lockdown. And the second survey was done in the beginning of July. Other than these 2 surveys, we're also using our site data in the last 4 months to be able to put together the trends that we're going to share with you today. I'm sure that a lot of the trends that we're going to share with you, some of them will be familiar to you, in which case I hope that it validates what you probably already know. I'm also hoping that some of the insights will be new to you and therefore useful. So with that as context, let's begin. Deepak, will you move? Yeah. So this is trend number 1, right? The question that we are asked most often in the last few months is, what is the nature of recovery likely to be? Right? And I would urge you to look very closely at the graph on the slide here. There's a lot of insights, and let me interpret all of them for you. First of all, this graph is a trend of how traffic and inquiries on a platform have trended in the last 4 months. Right? So point number 1, if you notice, in about a short 1 or 2 weeks after the lockdown was announced in mid-March, traffic on the site and inquiries took a very sharp dip. They fell as much as 60%. I must confess that in 12 years of Magicbricks, we have never seen such a sharp fall at any point of time. Our hearts were in our mouth at what was happening. Point number 2, I think the good news is the recovery has been equally spectacular. It's taken a lot longer. It's taken about 2 or 3 months. But sitting in July right now, you will notice that buyers are back in the market. Demand is back. If you look at traffic and inquiries on the site in July, they are in fact a little ahead of pre-COVID times. And I think that's the good news. If you look at the shape of the curve, it looks very much like a V-shaped kind of curve. So we would submit that in terms of recovery, at least on the demand side, we are seeing a V-shaped kind of recovery with buyers back in the market. Point number 2, let's look at how Bangalore has performed versus the rest of the country, which I'm sure is of interest to people on the show today. The blue graph is Bangalore. If you notice, it fell a lot more than the rest of the country during the lockdown, but it also rose faster than the other cities, probably because the lockdown in Bangalore was lifted a little ahead of the lockdown being lifted in some other cities. You will also notice in July, there's been another small dip, which was because of the lockdown that was announced about 2 weeks back. But if you pay careful attention, the dip during this recent lockdown was a lot less. And the rise was also much quicker within 2 or 3 days of that lockdown being lifted. So the way we are reading this data is that users are possibly getting acclimatized or more in tune with this new normal. Subsequent lockdowns are not necessarily producing the kind of panic that we saw in the first lockdown in the month of April. Lastly, a very important point. I shared with you that traffic went through a steep dive in the month of April. Right? It fell as much as 60%. But I draw your attention to the 40% of people who in the midst of the lockdown and in the midst of the pandemic continued to search for properties in the month of April. So while traffic fell 40%, they fell 60%, there were these 40% of the buyers who were still actively looking, right? And we would submit that these are the high intent buyers who have provided a cushion to the fall, and they are also likely to be the same set of buyers who are going to lead the recovery process in transactions. Deepak, move to the next one. Yeah, what you see here is a comparison of the survey done in July versus what we did in April. Now, there was one key insight that was coming out in April. A third of the buyers that were surveyed actually told us that they intend to exit the market. They don't want to buy a property anymore, right? So the natural takeout of that is that the number of buyers in the market would shrink by a third. But clearly what we've seen in the last couple of months is buyers are back in the market and the numbers are more or less the same as pre-COVID. The recent survey that in July that was done also suggested a much stronger trend. As much as 93% of the buyers in July are saying that they will now stay in the market right? And they're looking actively for a property to purchase. So what's all this data telling us? I mean, 2 months ago, people told us, a third of the users told us they want to exit, but buyers are back in the market. So did they change their mind, or is something else happening? So we looked a little closer at our data. We looked a little closer at people who are in the market right now. And it turns out that 75% of the buyers who are looking for a property in the month of July, they are actually older buyers, right? So they've resumed their property search. But 1/4 of the people who are in the market right now are new buyers who have entered the market, a chunk of whom are also fortune seekers. They are bargain hunters who are out looking for a good deal. So just to summarize, buyers are back in the market. Of the buyers in the market today, 3/4 of the buyers are older buyers who have resumed search. 1/4 of them are new, with a chunk of them being bargain hunters. Deepak, yeah. What you see on the right-hand side, we often use this data internally. It's a good surrogate of consumer sentiment. The line that you see here is the percentage of buyers who say that they plan to buy a house within that duration. Now, this line was done pre-COVID. And at that point of time, we had as many as 56% of the people who were saying they intend to buy a house within 6 months. Deepak, move on. When we did the wave 1 of the study in the month of April, these numbers sank, right? The number fell to as low as 14% of the buyers who said they want to buy within 6 months. Even given a year, it was as low as 25% of the buyers who were saying they plan to buy a house. It means 75% of the buyers were saying they may take longer than a year, or they were not even sure that they would want to buy a house. Sentiment was at an all-time low. The line that you see now, the gray graph, this is wave 2 of the study, which was done in July. Clearly, you can see things have improved. They are not necessarily at the pre-COVID levels, but the percentage of people who are now saying they will buy within 6 months or a year has improved significantly compared to what they were saying in the month of April. So our takeaway is buyers are definitely back in the market, but they're saying they're likely to take a couple of months more than what they were thinking earlier in order to transact. Deepak, please move on. That was trend number 1. Trend number 2 is all about budgets of the buyer and pricing. Both the waves of study, the one that we did in April as well as the one that we did in July, 75% of the buyers, 74 to be more precise, have told us that they intend to spend 10 to 30% less on the home that they're planning to buy, right? What we wanted to do was to check, this is what they were saying. We wanted to check what they were doing on the platform to check whether there was a gap between what they're saying and what they're doing. When we looked at our site activity, counterintuitively, the information suggests something a little different. So if you look at the right-hand side, in the last 3 months, what's happened is the percentage of people who are searching for 2 bedrooms or below has actually gone down by a little bit. And proportionately, the people who are searching for 3 bedrooms and above has gone up. If you look at the graph at the bottom, the same has happened with home sizes. The percentage of people searching for homes less than 1,500 square feet has gone down a bit, and proportionately the percentage of people searching for homes greater than 1,500 square feet. If you look at this data, we were asking ourselves what's going on. On one hand, buyers are saying they want to spend 10 to 30% less, but on the other hand, they're actually searching for homes which are a little bigger, and some buyers are also searching for houses which have a room extra. The answer to that is actually in the next slide, right? What we figured out, Deepak, please move. What we figured out is people are searching for homes where the rate per square feet is a little lower than what it was 3 months ago, right? So searches for homes which are greater than 6,000 rupees a square feet have come down a bit in favor of properties which are less than 6,000 rupees a square feet. We tried to plot this on a map. What you see on the right-hand side is a map of Bangalore. And there is a very interesting insight here. What we are finding is that people are making more searches towards affordable localities and localities which are a little more towards the peripheries. So for example, in north of Bangalore, searches in Hebbal and nearby localities have gone down a bit in favor of searches in Yelahanka and new towns which have gone up. In south of Bangalore, searches in Bellandur have gone down a bit in favor of searches in Electronic City which have gone up a bit. So really, trend 2 is telling us that buyers are wanting to spend a bit less. They do not want to compromise on the size of the house or the number of bedrooms. In fact, they want a little bigger, in return for which they're willing to go a little further away towards affordable localities in order to meet these requirements. Let's move on to trend number 3. This has been playing on for the last 3 or 4 years, which is a marked preference from buyers to ready-to-move-in homes, right? They're more risk-averse than they were 5-6 years ago. And today there is a marked preference. 67% of the users in Bangalore say they want to buy ready-to-move-in homes only. But there is a silver lining here when you compare it to markets, let's say, up north. So in Delhi, for example, an overwhelming 80% of users say that they would want a ready-to-move home. Whereas in Bangalore, you have a good 33% of users who are still open to under construction homes. And that, we think, is a testimony to the higher degree of trust that Bangalore developers in general and South developers enjoy amongst users. A qualitative assessment in the market also suggests that if there is a strong brand, which also offers flexible payment schemes with lower cash flows in the beginning, that combination is likely to make a lot more buyers bite an under construction home at this point of time. So if you have an under construction home that you're selling and you are in a position to make this combination work, please look at it, because it seems to be something that buyers are looking for. Deepak, move on. Trend number 4 and 5, let's move beyond apartments, let's move beyond Bangalore buyers. Trend number 4 is what's happening in smaller cities. The blue graph is the top 8 metros of the city on the left, and the orange graph is all cities outside the top 8. If you notice what's happened, the smaller cities dipped a lot less during the lockdown, and the rise is a lot more. At this point of time, we actually have 50% more searches and inquiries in the smaller towns than we had pre-COVID. It's quite a remarkable trend. And I must confess, we were quite taken aback. Now, we don't know exactly why this is happening, but an educated guess is that either the incidence of the pandemic was a lot lesser in the smaller towns, or it could be the homing instincts of urban dwellers who really want a property back in their hometown, and that's leading to increased searches in the smaller cities. The same trend is playing with NRIs, which is what you see on the right-hand side. NRI searches dipped a lot less and they've risen a lot more. In fact, they're 20% higher right now than what they were pre-COVID. Again, educated guess from our end is that this is either led by the favorable exchange rate at play, or it is led by homing instincts of NRIs caused largely by the visa issues that we all know about. Moving on to trend 6 and 7, this is slightly different perspectives. We notice that plots have picked up quite a bit. Land searches have gone up. In fact, they are ahead of apartment searches, right? And at this point of time, plot searches have gone up ahead of pre-COVID times. Apartment searches are still about 5 or 10% below. Right-hand side data is what's happened between the rental markets and the sale markets. And I must confess, we were proven wrong here. In April, we actually thought, and we put out reports that we think rent will recover a lot faster, right? Because the sentiment on buying was so low, we thought buying is going to take a lot longer to recover and rentals will recover fast. I must confess we were proven wrong. It turns out consumers looking to buy a house are back in the market, like we discussed, but people looking for homes on rent, it's still below pre-COVID times. We think the reason for this is because, you know, home shifting is actually quite a high touch affair, and maybe people don't want to take chances of doing this during the pandemic. It's also possible that job shifts, relocations are a lot lesser in today's times because a lot of companies have allowed employees to continue working from home, and that must be causing the rental market to remain a little muted. Right? So rent continues to remain a little muted, but sale is up. So these were the 7 key trends that we wanted to share with all of you. There is one other useful insight as well. And this is something that we are often asked into what are the triggers and barriers that are playing on the buyer's mind that will decide whether he transacts or not, right? What we did is we compared the Wave 2 survey with Wave 1. We've also compared Bangalore with the rest of the country, right? The way this is playing out is in Wave 1, which was in April, job or business stability was the #1 worry on buyers' minds, followed by pricing, deals, and discounts. That's flipped, right? So what we are reading is people are relatively a little less worried about job and business stability now than they were in April. Pricing is now playing, now the number one thing on buyers' minds. If you compare Bangalore with the rest of the country, one key difference is in the rest of the country, the number 3 factor is actually timely completion. In Bangalore, that's not so much of a worry. For reasons we discussed earlier, it's actually the number 5 factor. Right. One more thing, high touch, real estate buying is still a high touch and a high involvement activity, right? And we are hearing reports how the weekend lockdowns are preventing people from making site visits and therefore being a hindrance to consumers' experience and the ability to search for homes. We'd encourage everyone, please look at adopting technology. There's a lot of technology available today, including with Magic Bricks. There are video tours possible. Consumers are rapidly adopting to them. The amount of adoption that we have seen in the last few months on video tours is quite astonishing. It's doing really well. Please also look at additional tools which can reduce paperwork, which can reduce the number of visits that a consumer needs to make to finalize the house. And if you're able to do all of this, I think the time taken to buy can be a lot lesser than what it would be otherwise. So in summary, that's where I sort of wrap up. Deepak, please move on. We shared 7 key trends. First is that if you look at the demand side, we are seeing buyers back in the market, but probably going to take a couple of months extra to transact. And number 2, we are seeing buyers who are saying they're going to reduce their budgets by 10 or 30%, but they want to stick to the size of the house and the number of bedrooms, possibly a little bigger, and they're willing to go to a little peripheral areas to fulfill their needs. Ready to move in continues to be in favor. There is an uptick in smaller cities as compared to the larger ones. NRI market is up and so is plots. The rental market is relatively muted. And lastly, we understand that while there is a recovery in demand, this recovery is yet to happen in transactions, right? And we think that adoption of digital tools, addressing the various barriers and triggers that we shared will play a significant role in being able to convert this demand, which is back, into transactions that should happen in due course. One last caveat before I wrap up. We have actually seen more changes in trends in the last 3 months than we have possibly seen in the last 5 years. Trends have been changing really rapidly. So I must say, there's still a lot of moving parts out there. The pandemic is not yet cured. There are geopolitical issues at play. The government's policies are still WIP. The economic fallouts on job security of the buyers or income levels of the buyers is still unknown. So therefore, a lot of these trends could still change as we go ahead. From our side, we'll continue to publish reports, make them available to you, because we hope that more data, more insights like this will help you steer your business a lot better and hopefully lead the recovery phase. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Jayashree, it's back to you.
Thanks, Sudhir. That was a comprehensive report based on data, based on a lot of consumer insight that Magic Bricks has been gathering. And now I'm going to go to the other side, the people who are actually facing the consumers trying to sell. And like Sudhir said, there are 6 distinct trends that we notice, and I'd like you guys to address it. So let me start with Kishore Jain. Kishore, when we talk about the V-shaped recovery, is that what the industry has also seen? Do your trends match what the data has shown us?
So good afternoon, everyone. And I must congratulate Magic Bricks for coming up with a very comprehensive and insightful data survey, and which is really pleasant and heartening, and glad those consumer behaviors are changing, and this is what we are witnessing. In fact, when the pandemic broke, the general talks in the market were the first to impact will be the real estate sector, and the last to recover will be the real estate sector. But the reality was completely different. In fact, the need for the home was never felt ever in the history. And this is the time where everybody wanted to have their sweet home, their own abode, which gives them a sense of belongingness, sense of where they can repose their emotions into it, a sense of security also. And the best vaccine till now for COVID is the home only. So, and the same has been reflected with the buyer sentiment. Yes, during the lockdown, when the whole country went into lockdown in the month of April, hardly any transactions were there. Forget the transactions, the inquiries were also very less. And May suddenly improved, and June it is drastically improved. And this is being witnessed across in terms of number of inquiries or the lead generated, and correspondingly the number of site visits. Here I would like to distinct. In terms of the quality of site visit has improved phenomenally. The people who are serious, if at all they are not serious, they will not venture out during this COVID period to move for a physical site visit. So the physical site visit and the conversion ratio has improved. And so also the way we do business, the developer. Earlier, if I see the help of technology, in terms of digital technology was only limited to marketing of the project. I think the COVID has compelled all of us to build online booking platform, and where we have developed, we have communication tool, where the interactive visualization tool has improved, and we are able to interact with the customers through video calling. We can discuss on the design and various aspects. But still, finally, the customer will come to site for a site visit to have a feeling of the project and for a handshake. Yes, we are witnessing a V-shaped recovery, and I'm sure we will be able to bounce. We are already almost similar to the pre-COVID level, and looking forward to surpass the same demand. Thank you.
Arul, one of the things that Sudhir spoke about was that consumers are planning to shrink their budgets, not the sizes of the homes. If they were looking for super premium localities, they're willing to adjust a little bit as far as the locality is concerned, but they do want that size of home. Is that something that the developer fraternity has seen as well? Arul?
Yes, you want me to answer?
Arul, please.
Arul, all right, okay.
Arul, could we?
Yes. Yeah. So that was very interesting because we find that now people are willing to travel far, but the infrastructure and the roads have improved tremendously in Bangalore. So this home for the same price or a lower price, a little further away from the city, nothing like it. And also these days, many of the schools are also located on the fringes of the city, which is a major decision for parents to base their purchase of housing, location of their houses. So I think both these factors have played a role in people being more flexible in moving away from the city.
Okay. And in terms of budgets, is that also impacting the budget? Are you seeing the same same trends that Sudhir mentioned, that budgets are shrinking?
Yeah, previously, I don't think it's so much a thing about the budget, but these days, previously it used to be a matter of convenience. People would like to buy apartments closer to, let's say, the metro, or closer to the bus stations, closer to infrastructure. But today, with online shopping becoming mainstream and not really as a matter of option and is no longer a choice, people are willing to move outside and further away from the city and get a bigger place and a better place for the same budget.
Okay. Okay. I think you've got a slight bandwidth problem. We couldn't hear what you said at the end.
Yeah, I just put off my video.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, it's not so much a question of budget, but the same amount of money, if I can get a bigger place and a better place a little further away from the city, I would prefer that than to stay in a smaller place closer to the city. Because conveniences are not my top priority just now, as online shopping and e-commerce has become mainstream.
Let me go to Mr. J.C. Sharma. Sir, one of the things that Kishore mentioned was that only the serious buyers are actually doing the site visits. While there's a lot of search happening online, the serious buyers are doing the site visits, and therefore the conversion ratios seem to have improved. Have you noticed that in the market?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, let me congratulate Magic Bricks to come out with this kind of a survey, because perceptions do matter in our sector. We have a confirmation bias, and if it is validated through this kind of a surveys, it does help the buyers in taking the call. So thank you. And thank you for this kind of a lucid presentation as well, Sudhir. Coming back to your question, I do believe that yes, not only the site visits or the inquiries in the month of June had reached to the pre-COVID level. The sales numbers were as good as what we used to do on an average basis. Even the conversion has happened. While Sudhir has been guarded in telling that buyers are back, but it is limited to showing the intent. But what we have observed that the actual sales have been happening, and this is happening in a much shorter period than what it used to be. And the digital mechanism and the adaptation to the technology, I do agree that what it would have taken years for us and the customers to adapt, we could do it in last 3 to 4 months. I also would like to put it across because you have an efficient platform, both your website as well as the media. So I would request you to also look at that why we developers should have a negative kind of a feeling despite the COVID, where our president has very beautifully communicated that the need for the home is greater than ever before in the mankind than it ever was. Because the workplace as well as the home both, it has somehow synchronized. If you look at, I was having some data for this meeting, that pre-COVID, where was gold? In US dollar at 1660 per ounce, now it is 1954. Silver, 1423 per kg, now it is 2413 US dollar. In Indian currency, gold has moved from 42,410 to 54,024 carat 10 gram. And silver has gone up from 41,000 to 66,000 per kg. If you look at the Dow Jones, right, where you are putting money, either in gold or in silver or in stocks, sort of a thing, Dow Jones have gone up from 24th March 20,000 and odd to 26,380. And Nasdaq has grown from 7,400 to 10,402, which is 40% up. Our own Sensex has gone up from 26,600 to 38,000 and odd, whereas Nifty has gone up from 7,600 to 11,300. Even the Brent crude prices have also gone up from 29 US dollar to 43 US dollar, and WTI, West Texas, have gone up from 24 US dollar per barrel to 41 US dollar per barrel. Even the cryptocurrency also in Indian currency, from 500,000, it has gone up to 800,000. So if you look at the economy has shrugged off the COVID-related issues, and economy is convinced that vaccine is not far away, right? And this is the platform where when the buyers are back today and they are trying to buy the home because they are under-owned. This is the only asset which is under-owned, where when they are looking at the budget, the prices have come down by 30% automatically because the EMIs have come down by 30%. From double-digit interest cost, now it is less than 7%. With that, the EMI cost has come down by almost 300 rupees per 100,000 for 20-year loan. It was never, ever like that. And then on top of this, the savings, what today a buyer is having is just phenomenal, in a sense that he is only spending money on essentials. That means that for the food and for the education and for the medical emergency is what he is spending. Rest is being saved. And where it is being saved, State Bank of India is giving 2.7% savings bank interest, which is lowest ever. So in my view, we need to show resilience. We need to convert this perception to reality so that these inquiries get converted into sales. And this kind of a platform with your media print media also should be utilized to see to it that right kind of a messaging is given. That's my message.
Thank you. Ashish, one of the things that Sudhir mentioned was there has to be, consumers have adopted technology. All of us have adopted technology like never before. Mr. Sharma has referred to it. How is your, your use of digital technology changed to reach out to the consumer? And how is the consumer's acceptance of those technologies?
So I was reminded, I think a couple of weeks ago, that I participated in a conference in 2016, where I made a random statement and I said, by 2020, technology will become a part. Of course, that was with no reference to COVID or lockdowns, but we have come to that digital age right now. So we were fortunate where, we've taken steps last year itself, where we started this thing called Book My Home, which was an online platform where you had live availability. You could block your unit. You could pay for make your down payment right there on one platform. So we really took advantage of that platform post the lockdown opening. We had 3 launches. In fact, we had 2 in Bangalore and 1 in Pune, and they did extremely well. I mean, quite surprised. So it started out with a 90-minute live presentation across YouTube, Facebook, and our website. Post that 90-minute presentation, the customers then moved on to the website. They could choose from a live availability. They had 3 minutes to then go to the payment gateway and make their down payment. If they didn't complete that process in 3 minutes, then obviously the availability would open up. I think all 3 projects were launched. We've hit our milestone number that we shared with the marketing team. So customers have really adopted and accepted technology well. A very important data point there is that out of all the units sold, 60% of those customers had visited the site at some point of time. But there was a 40% of those customers had inquired but not visited the site. Yet in this environment have taken that time out, participated in the e-launch, and have gone ahead and booked a unit. I think that's most important.
And that comfort of using technology is something that has been enhanced because all of us have been locked in our homes. I'm going to go to Austin. Austin, we've noticed that there is a increasing demand across smaller cities, and Karnataka does have a lot of smaller cities. What is the trend that you have noticed on the ground?
Especially smaller cities, like to give you an example, Belgaum, I have a good friends who are, they are selling better at prices which are a notch higher than what they were selling before the pandemic. This was something which was very, very shocking. I mean, not surprising, because everywhere we were in Bangalore, as I see in my own projects, people are asking for discounts. Sales are happening, and more quality people are coming here, and quality leads and quality inquiries. But each and every one is driving a bargain, especially with mid-size or small-size builders, I suppose. But there is a very good interest. But in cities like Belgaum and other places, and in Mangalore, where the business was very low, for ready-made buildings, there has been a good uptake, I think, partly from NRIs, and also from some businessmen who are putting money into their houses, into the hometown houses, as you rightly told before. I think this migration, or whatever you can call that, is helping sales in smaller cities. These are the 2 cities where I specifically know that there has been a good uptake, and especially in Belgaum, the rates have gone up by significantly, by 5-10%. From pre-COVID days.
Right. I'm going to just continue this discussion for another 10 minutes because I do want to hear your perceptions about price, the consumer is asking for discounts and so on. But I would urge everybody who's logged in here, please put your questions. We've got a phenomenal panel sitting here. We've got Sudhir who will be answering queries. There is Surbhi who has done the research. Surbhi will also bring in her insights. Do put in your queries, because that's how this whole conversation can go forward. So do urge you to post your queries on the chat box beside us. Actually, now I'm going to go to Nagaraj Reddy. And here I begin this conversation about price. Consumers are looking for a discount. Consumers are looking to scale down a little bit, but they are still very actively looking for houses. So Nagaraj, help me understand, how is Karnataka behaving vis-a-vis the rest of the country on the ground? And also, what is this conversation about price all about?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am really thankful to Mr. Sudhir and his presentation. It is actually very, very practical and reality also, because most of the media reports, what is coming is totally different. And Magic Brick has done really a good job, and you have done a real groundwork, and you have taken the correct picture from the ground. As per the discount is concerned, it is only because of media. If you see all the eminent people in the past 2-3 months before, in every web seminars, they used to say the market will come down to 20%, 15%, like that they given. By seeing and watching those kind of things, people started coming to our offices. They will say, Mr. and Mr. has sold so much, the prices will come. Why can't you reduce the prices? But they are not understood in the beginning. Whatever they pay to us, around 30% goes back to the government in the form of taxes. And the real estate industry, only industry, we don't have input credit facility. Whatever we pay as a GST, it is added to our project cost. And in addition, there is a registration around 7% also they have to pay. So across board, that has happened now. Fortunately, after this last 1 month, the people who were 3 months back, they came and they were negotiating the price. Now they are coming and asking, give us some time to pay. They are not asking discount. It's the other way around. They wanted, sir, we want to pay some advance, and other things we need some time, because we don't have the certainty about our lab, jobs and other things. They are asking time. So in this scenario, that's what I am requesting. In the national level also, we are requesting the banks give at least another 12 months moratorium for the EMI. Instead of 20 years, you make it 21 years. You ask the customer to pay the EMI from next year onwards. So anyhow, we are adding the interest. And the customer also will secure. Another 1 year, he will not have any fear to paying the EMI. And all the unsold inventory which is ready to occupy definitely will get sold. And you rightly pointed out, now the scenario is size. Within the city limit, they wanted little smaller sites, outskirts. They wanted bigger site, even ready to go about 5-6 kilometers from the IT corridors. And I saw the chart, whatever the demand you have shown is perfectly exactly the same demand what I also felt. In this area, whatever you have done, those areas the demand will be good, and definitely the prices now is not the concern. Now only thing their concern is now payment of EMI that they wanted moratorium for another 1 year. Or the decision also is getting delayed of paying the advances, all those things. And some of the people, they are coming with, sir, we want to resell some of our old apartment. We want to upgrade our lifestyle. Unfortunately, that is not getting sold. There we are not getting the money in time. And we have sold some property in your native place. That is not, we are not able to go there and register the property. So these kind of practical issues, they are coming. As such, the price discount is, now the story is gone. Now, henceforth, since the cost of material is gone up, every day the price is gone up. Now the labor cost, compared to pre-COVID and lockdown, and now almost is 100% more what we are paying in the site. So the construction labor cost is going up every day. They all understand all these issues. And also there is a shortage of laborers also. So the price discount will not arise. Only they wanted the postponement of payment of advance or EMI, something if they get the benefit, definitely the market will do better than what we are doing today.
Kishore, I want you to, as president of CREDA Karnataka, I want you to address two issues. One, that there has been an increased demand for plots. and people are looking, more people are looking for plots. This is a national phenomenon, especially Karnataka, we see a lot of demand. Why do you think this is happening? And the second thing is taking forward this price discussion. We have seen that, you know, there is more demand for ready to move in properties, like we discussed. Can it be made easier for the consumer to pay? Clearly, he's interested in buying, but can there be some mechanism that the developers could evolve with the lenders so that it is easier for the consumer to pay? Two questions: plots and the price.
Right. I'll answer the second question first, and I'll add up on what our National Vice President Nagaraj Reddy has mentioned. In fact, more than discount, recently an article which carried, as the ready-to-move demands are high, and it will be get absorbed very quickly. Maybe in 2-3 quarters, there won't be any ready-to-move inventory left over. And there is very imminent, the prices are going to go up. We have made requested to all the members, at least for a quarter or so, don't increase the price. This is what the National PDA has carried also. Considering the COVID period, please don't increase the price. Although there is a hike in the input cost, like maybe the labor, maybe the pandemic lockdown, the wages we have paid, salaries, unproductive, the capacity underutilization, and government, state government has not come forward to kind of give us any kind of relief. Still, we are paying the same taxes, fees, cess, duties. There are no considerable significant reductions. It's bound to go up as such. Only we have all agreed, you know, maybe another quarter or so, let's not increase the price. And this is the message which we wanted to give it to all the consumers. Second, coming on the plots, I think the recent pandemic has opened up, and somewhere I could feel this can be a transformation at MOG. Because when there were a lot of restrictions, this is out of frustration. Even there are so many restrictions and we are living in a very dense area, there is freedom is not available. Let's move out to the bigger place. We don't mind traveling to few more kilometers extra. And during pandemic, even they are seeing there are less traffic, hardly any traffic jams are there. So they wanted to move out to the plotted development and subsequently built their own house. They wanted to have that hybrid version of living in a community, but still independent. And one more new trend which has been observed in the market during the pandemic only, it's like a convergence at home. Earlier, home was only home. For all other things, you used to move out of home. So in home, we are seeing the offices got into the home, offices converge into the home. Then your physical activity like gymming has also got into the home. Your entertainment, earlier used to go to mall and other places, that also has been converted into home. So now it's a very interesting phenomenon which we are observing. It's getting converged. The home is getting converged, where you don't have to move for everything, for your entertainment, for your physical activity, from work also. Everything is at home only. So that is the reason why Mr. Sudhir has also mentioned everybody wanted to have a bigger space. Where an additional study room they may accommodate for a office or maybe a terrace can be converted into a temporary gym or so. So like this, the aspiration and the need of the customers has gone up. So the best solution, one of the best solutions which they found is the plotted development. And even in the 2-tier and 3-tier cities also, one of the spurt in demand is in terms of the plotted development. Even the NRIs are also buying, like if this hometown, any of the tier 2 or tier 3 cities are there, they are preferring buying a plot and having their own development, larger development, the way which they wanted. And this will be sustained, it will be continued. This is what is our observation.
Thank you. I'm going to call Surbhi here. She's our research head. Surbhi, we have taken the conversation towards plots. Would you like to tell us what your prop index and data has shown about the demand for plots? Is there any distinct trends that you are noticing?
Okay, so if we talk specifically about plots and we compare the demand which is coming back with respect to plots and apartments, so we have seen that, yeah, there is an increase, the bounce back in plot searches are more than the apartments. That's one study. Another thing is we have seen a trend that there is a lot of plot searches in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. There is a bigger jump in tier 2 and 3 cities. Maybe people are looking the plots investment in their hometowns. There is time to search for the plots because of this pandemic. So there is an increase in tier 2 city. Another thing is the plot, if I talk about Bangalore and Karnataka, so cities like your Tumkur, the city like Hubli, the city like Mangalore, and all these area which are Karnataka city, a little far from Bangalore, but they are witnessing the plot investment. If I talk about near Bangalore, then in north we have seen demand for Devanhalli, the area beyond Yelahanka. We have also seen demand in east, that is the area like Budigere, Horamayu, Kodugadi. These kind of area also see some kind of demand from plot. And because right now it is an end user market, so I would say it is more from the end use perspective people are looking for. There is a demand from investor as well, and they are searching for property. And in our survey also it has come that around 33% people are bargain hunter, which are looking for a bargain deal. So that is the reason probably the demand for plot is.
I'm going to pick up some of the questions. Clearly, a lot of CREDAI consumers have been, CREDAI members have been asking queries here. And this is open to Surabhi, the panelists. Please do give answers which would help your members along. The first one, I think 2-3 questions on, is it a good time to launch a project? Ashish, you want to take that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good time to launch projects now. Only one is we need to be sure on which micro market. For example, what I mean is that in a good market where sentiments are positive, you can get away by launching something which is not so much in demand because there is a general euphoria in the market. So only to be cautious in which micro market you're launching it, what is the ticket size that you're bringing to that market, like it was brought out in the presentation as well. In terms of ticket sizes are critical right now. So what is the size of unit? What is the selling price in which micro market? That in check, I think it's, at least our experience has been good. And I think it's a good time to launch.
And, the demand has shifted to, demand has shifted to completed projects. It has been for a while, ready to move in apartments seem to be the norm. So here, Errol, would you like to talk about how how the developer community is moving towards completion of the unit? We know that there has been a delay period. There has been a lockdown and extension. So how will you manage this? On the one hand, there's a demand for completed projects. On the other hand, there is a problem of you have labor shortage. You had a lockdown and things like that. How do you match the two?
Yeah, as the graph from Magic Bricks showed, Bangalore, the people are more trustworthy of builders than they are in the rest of India. And this is largely because the builders in Bangalore have had a higher record of consistency and deliverables. So it's not been that much of a problem to sell apartments which are under construction as it is in the other parts of Bangalore. But having said that, similar to what Nagaraj mentioned, if the payment options are flexible and you allow them to make payments more towards the end of the project, then offloading inventory under construction is not really that much of an issue.
Jayashree, I think. Jayashree.
Yes, sorry, my mistake. Sudhir, you wanted to say something.
I have a question for Mr. J.C. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, first of all, compliments on Good sales in the last few months. Very encouraging to hear about this, especially in times like these. We were very curious, and I'm sure a lot of people would be very curious, what's driving these sales? Is it pent-up demand that sort of converted in this period? Are they old buyers who are buying now? Is there a new segment of buyers who's got active? What are you actually seeing? Or is it some new promotion or scheme that's triggering buyers? What are the triggers that you're seeing or working in helping you drive transactions?
Mr. J.C. Sharma?
You need to unmute him.
Yeah.
Deepak, I think Mr. Sharma is on mute. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So my belief has been that Bangalore market has performed relatively very well. If you look at, because sometimes Bangalore is compared with MMR or NCR, where you have multi-cities. You will have Thane added, you will have Kalyan added kind of a thing, New Mumbai added, or you will have Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Noida, Greater Noida, Gurgaon, Delhi, everything getting added kind of a thing. It is the most resilient market. And the people who have been having the money, for them, they saw an opportunity to see that this is the right time where they can put their money, where interest rates are low, both on the saving side as well as on the borrowing side. And as it is coming out through everyone's experiences, that it is all end user driven demand. So while the overall market size has, in my view, contracted in the last 3-4 months, the players who have got a relatively good track record of completing the projects, right, they have got, relatively speaking, some better advantages. And this is what has helped us in achieving what we have achieved. But my view is not that. My view is that the perception what is clearly coming out through the survey, from first survey during the COVID period to the post-COVID in the month of July, is that many buyers are waiting in the wings. They need some kind of a nudge. And they need some kind of a confidence amongst our fraternity also, of course, supported by the media, that yes, you need to buy the home. This is the right time. Focus on the price or focus on the budget. While it is important, but somewhere it is diversionary in my view, because developers are not making enough money, right? If you look at next to the jewelries, 24% of the exposure of the developers today is suspect kind of a scenario. So in that environment with the real assets, this kind of a survey should be taken in that right spirit. There is clearly an intent to buy a home, and they would like to buy because the external environment is facilitating that part. Whether it is under construction or ready to home, buyer will definitely decide depending upon his own financial conditions and requirement. But I would suggest that via this platform, we should go with confidence that yes, the inquiries are back, conversions are happening, and this is the right time where we need to go ahead with that confidence that the projects we will be delivering under the CREDAI edges, all the developers, and customers should be buying. If you look at in China, government is putting the curb that you should not buy the home. If in America the stock market has boomed, in China the real estate market has boomed post the COVID effect. So this is the sector which is going to take the lead in reviving the economy. And in my view, the customers are waiting in the wings. We need to capitalize.
Nagaraj, when you're looking at the completed demand for completed projects, is there something that you as a fraternity are doing to speed up the completion? Consumers don't have the appetite to wait. And tell me, what are the factors that are that are stopping you from doing this? Maybe finance, maybe approvals, maybe the COVID situation. What are the things that are stopping you from speeding up towards completion?
Hello. Yeah. See, now the nearing completion, there are two challenges. One is there was about last 3-4 months, the labor shortage was there. They could not able to complete. Other thing is some financial implication also is there. Where unsold inventory is more, they are facing a lot of financial problems to complete that project. The two scenarios only in Bangalore. The first scenario where the apartments are 100% sold or even at least 90% sold, the laborers have not come back. Now they have come back, and in spite of the cost is more, still they are ready to pay. Now big builders like Shobha or Pro, they are having the in-house workers, in-house contractors, and with great difficulty they are doing that, completing the project, and almost they have completed the project also, and ongoing project also they got a good demand. Now other thing is the financial part. Financial part, some of the builders who have gone with the NBFCs, they are not supported the builders in this crucial time. Whatever collection comes to the escrow account straight away without even giving even 10 to 20% to the builders, they have taken 100% and adjusted the loan. That created a very big havoc to some of the builders. So NBFCs definitely not supported the builders in the crucial time for some of our builders. There is only two criteria in that. The challenges are there in this ready to move in apartments. But in spite of all these things, people are visiting those kind of projects. They are seeing the projects and work is going on. Those are kind of projects, definitely they are investing. The demand has gone up and sales are happening. So I really thankful to Mr. Sharma ji. He has put very correctly. Now the fear in everybody's life, they want to own their own house. Even youngsters who have joined husband and wife or young couples, all these days they were enjoying their life. Now they could not go out. They have to be at home only. They want bigger house and they want their own house.
I think more or less we've covered most of the issues that were on the table. There's one question by Srini Moramchetty. I thought it's interesting. The Sunday lockdown in Bangalore is impacting site visits, and just knowing that there was only one day during weekend, many people are putting off visits. Has the digital adoption been taken over completely? And do you think that will, replace site visits completely?
No. We can't agree, because we have to also cooperate the government. And in fact, the Sunday, even if I ask me, I have to declare Saturday also. Saturday, Sunday, both days should be locked down in my opinion. And people who want to purchase, they will come during the weekdays, okay, because most of the IT people are at home only now. Or even they can come on Saturday. Nowadays, on web call, so many transaction is going on, and Ashish has told very clearly. Today, everybody visiting the video, seeing the videos and everything in online only about the project. So Sunday, we can't blame. This is government policy. We have to agree and we have to cooperate with the government issues.
And there's one question from Stanley, and I think I will, this question is, do you think there will be a consolidation among the C and D category developers? Are you seeing any kind of consolidation at the base of the building?
Naturally, definitely there will be some consolidation who could not be able to sustain or who are caught under the NBFC's clutches. They have to come out from this, and definitely they have to give some projects to some big builders. In fact, Mr. Errol Fernandez has initiated that. Some of the people, they came forward to take over some small builders among our fraternity. It's a good sign. But unfortunately, it is not so much inquiries have come. Only few of them they have come. And I think that the discussion is going between them. They have not disclosed anything to us.
Austin, I'm going to take this closing conversation. I'll start with you. Which are the parts of Bangalore where you're seeing intense demand? the demand like we noticed was shifting into the not so premium localities because they are a little more affordable, or into the peripheries because people want larger spaces. That is one question. And the other one is of price. Has the conversation around price settled down? Is it peaking? Are consumers holding back because they think prices are going to change? Austin.
Well, as far as the peripheral areas are concerned, what I am personally noticing is that the bias is towards places which are close to the IT corridors, something behind the IT corridor. Now, I have a project in
long-range measurement.
Location.
Could we mute the gentleman who was talking?
Location is very much important, and it is on the backside of all the IT area. I think Mr. J.C. Sharma can explain this more. And another thing is, it is very price sensitive, I feel, much as I hate to say this. But price sensitiveness is there, maybe because people are now receptive to see bigger apartments. I have a block of apartments which are average size is bigger than what I thought it should have been, but the traction is much better, but people are very, very price sensitive. Also, as Nagaraj said, and we think, finishing and close to finishing, even if it is about 20% or 15% close to finishing, the major question happens to be that how will you finish? Will the laborers come back? Are you going to really finish in the timeline you're going to give us? Because we don't want to pay the rents and EMIs together. And that kind of anxiety is also there. But by and large, people are coming out, as my friend Kishore said, in the pandemic, to come out with all that. Even if there was a lockdown, people were coming in and going to the project and taking decisions with their family members, which shows the interest is there and it is genuine. Nagaraj and we were always talking about, more than asking for anything from the government, we must ask the banks to drop the interest rates. That, as Mr. J.C. Sharma has very nicely explained, I think it is the icing on the cake which has helped push the people now to buy. There was a time when I built my house in 2002, 2003, where for some short time, there was an interest rate at 7%. After that, when after the American, this one, not 9/11, then the interest rate fell down. Today, the interest rates have fallen down, and I still feel with the cost of money having gone down, banks have still a decent room of at least 0.75 basis, 75 basis point to 100 basis points to bring down the rate of interest, even if they have to ask for a little higher margin from house owners, which can drive the housing sales much better.
Sure.
That
sure.
My.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. J.C. Sharma, how important is the credibility, past track record, and credibility of the builder versus the price discussion? You are on mute. Deepak, can you unmute him?
Sorry. See, today the customer has become smarter than us. He wants everything, literally speaking, correctness. And developers have been complying with and acceding to their requests. So you are seeing the scheme where we are allowing the customers to stay and can take a call after 12 months whether he would like to continue with his buy or not. Of course, conditions apply. So the big picture is that the developers have gone out of their way to provide the kind of payment plans, the kind of amenities, and the kind of what you call the pricing, which is unprecedented. We are not being able to articulate because of our own issues. But today, what is being put across on the table by the developers fraternity is just unbelievable at a price point which had not gone up in last 4 to 5 years. So my belief is that because the perception still remain that he can extract little bit more, and nothing wrong, after all he's a customer, and nothing wrong in acceding to their request also. But more or less we have reached at that base level where beyond this, it will be counterproductive to the sector, to the customer, to the developers. The only silver lining, as Austin and some of my fellow friends have been pointing out, is that low interest cost is going to be a game changer. And the number of inquiries, the way they are coming in, sort of a thing, of course, needs to be converted. From the developer side also, I would like to add that the Swami Fund, right, it is now becoming a kind of a success story. Some of our Bangalore developers have also got the funding or the loan sanctions via that process. So what we thought will remain on paper now is becoming a ground reality, which will also encourage the customers to start buying even under construction from B or C category developers. Nobody is B or C. But this is again in the perception kind of a thing, because no sooner when the customer gets the message, the government and the system will take care of my investment in a project, you will see customers taking a call at all stages. Thank you.
Ashish, when you look at different categories of developments that are coming, are you seeing a consistent demand in the affordable, in the mid-level, and in the premium categories?
You're right. So across the board, it's almost 50-50 in terms of demand. First is to start with ready to move and under construction. So what we've seen in the last 2-3 months is the demand is almost 50-50. Even in terms of the luxury product, the affordable, which is Provident, and plotted development, which is a new category for us, which also did extremely well. One interesting fact that we found out in terms of the moratorium that was given by the government, depending on the profile of the project, in certain projects where 60% was self-funded and 40% was home loans, right? But depending on that specific project, the self-funded were paying the installments on time, as opposed to another project where it was 65% home loans and 35% were self-funded. You're seeing delays in payments of those 35%. The delay is temporary. It's basically, the facility given by the government for that moratorium period, etc. So it will come back. The hope is it will come back online in 2-3 months. But that was a very interesting fact that we discovered over the last 2 months.
And the amount of discounts that different categories are, is that has that stabilized? Is it the same across categories? People are negotiating for a better price?
I think that's by nature, human beings are value seekers, right? So I think across the board, irrespective of what you launch at what price, there is that expectation of a demand. So all you got to do is adopt the hospitality way of doing business, where you walk into a 5-star hotel and they have this rated, printed rate card, which will show you 40,000 rupees, but you're getting it at 10,000 rupees. So all of us should adopt that and have it's that perception. Did I get a deal or not? Yes, I am in the market. I'm a genuine end user, but we love deals. So, have that printed rate card, which is 40% up, and do your transaction at 40% low. Hopefully you close a transaction faster.
Surbhi, you have noticed that consumers are asking for deals. A deal is something that is going to push consumers in that direction. Do you have anything to comment on this?
Yeah, definitely. In the consumer sentiment survey, we see 74% of the people are looking for budget cut, and they are looking for attractive deals and discount. But I think, as Ashish said, that this is the perception, and this is more of your want. Sometimes reality is very different from what you are looking for. We always want discount whatever we are buying for. And that's what in the perception people are putting, that they are looking for budget cuts, they are looking for attractive deals and discount. But at the same time, if you look at the other trends, then what people are looking. The major lever that are working for the real estate now is compliance. Everybody is checking whether the project is RERA compliant or not. That is a minimum thing every consumer is checking nowadays. The second lever that can work actually for us is technology. Technology be in construction that can, increase the pace of construction. The second thing is technology in marketing also. Because right now, if we see for last 3-4 months, we are relying more on technology for connecting, for site visiting. I would not say that home touch people will buy before visiting the flat, but at the same time, in the process of buying, where I see 20 apartments, a lot of visits are restricting. They are restricting to virtual level. So that is the second level that will work. The third level that will work for real estate is definitely the product innovation. So these are the three things that will take further. Another thing is the compliance will also help you to get better funding that is required, especially after RERA, because now you cannot pre-launch the project. You have to get the funding for this. So compliance is becoming very important in this world right now.
I think the one interesting fact that we have is that we've launched 3 projects since June, first week. In those pre-launches, no one has come and asked for a discount because the perception is that it is a pre-launch and this is the lowest a developer will ever go. Whereas when you go to an ongoing project, yes, there is that, request, boss, I need the best price. Again, I think if you peel the onion further, more than discount, I think what they require is comfort. So in certain projects where you've given that 20/80 scheme, where you're saying, or, other developers have launched, where they say you book the apartment now, but your EMI start in 2021. Some people have done a halfway where you say you pay 10-15% now, your pre-EMI will start 18 months later, or a vanilla 20/80 on possession, right? In those cases, there isn't an ask for a discount. So, I think someone really needs to understand. So I think what they're essential, what we may be thinking, of course, when you corrupt somebody with a discount, he may take that decision to buy, but that's one thing. But we should not confuse that comfort required in a time like this with a discount and be hurry to drop prices. It's not yes, all of us are looking for discounts, but it may not necessarily only be a discount. It's that comfort of pre-EMI or installments that he's looking for, maybe for the next 8 months to 12 months to 18 months, right? Yeah. So he's still willing to book.
And this is something that we have referred to in the presentation also, where he said, make it easier for the consumer in the next 1 year. And after that, he should be home and dry. He should be able to. He's a serious end user. Just a couple more questions. I would like Kishore Jain to talk about what are you expecting from the policymakers? We did talk about compliances. We did talk about how 30% of the price today is various taxes that you pay. What do you think is the consumer, is the policymakers' contribution here?
Jayashree, I think I missed your question. Can you just repeat?
What are you looking for as policy inputs so that you are able to function normally and offer the best things to consumers?
Okay, all right. Post-pandemic, two important things which we have gone to the state government. One is to revive the demand. Basically, during pandemic, it was felt the demand has been shunted, and to revive demand, some sort of incentive from the state government, like in terms of the stamp duty reduction, which government has responded positively, and Karnataka, particularly in Karnataka, for the affordable housing, reduce the stamp duty from 5% to 2%. Although we asked for something much more, so that would have increased the demand, and to an extent, in particular, Tier 2 and Tier 3 city, the kind of demand which has been quite. One of the factors may be the stamp duty reduction. Second, which we have looked for the state government is in terms of rationalizing the guidelines value. Today, the transaction prices are much lower than the circle value or the guidelines value, and the poor customer ends up paying higher stamp duty on the transaction which he has not done. So this we have repeatedly putting pressure on the state government to rationalize it. And it should be a function of market price, the guidelines value. So that is the second thing. And second, we have requested to the RERA for the timeline extension although we requested for a year, but they have agreed for 6 months. And one of the requests to the state government is in terms of all our approvals, licenses, the renewals has to be extended, which they are working very seriously. Otherwise, we'll end up paying more taxes for the renewal fees, cess and duties also.
Sure.
So those are a couple of things which we have looked at. And of course, from the central government and from the banking sector, the credit transmission has to happen. Like Swami Fund is a very successful story, but Swami Fund is a very small fund, only 25,000 crore, out of which they have only committed for 8,700 crores only.
So it only happened in the last week. We had been waiting for a long time. It's only happened in the last week.
Yeah. Credit transmission, then the interest, lower rate of interest transmission to the developer, access to the capital in a manner which can be comfortable. I think one of the game changer in the finance sector will be the Swami funding, where you don't have month-on-month pressure. So it will be a plain IRR which will be fixed and payable when able. Whenever you make sales, whenever you get realization, then you will have to pay to the banker. So that will bring great relief to the developer. It will bring confidence to the market. Once you are compliant and financial closure is there, unlike earlier when month-on-month, quarter-on-quarter, developer was under tremendous stress to safeguard themselves from default. So now this kind of scheme and government can adapt to what is required for in this sector, and the long way it's going to be a milestone.
My last question to Errol. I'll take off from what Surbhi said. Surbhi said that compliance is something that the consumer is looking for. Clearly, the developers need to communicate more with the consumer that you are complying, that your projects are going on time, that your approvals are there, that you've got money to complete the projects. There's something that you need to infuse to take this message across to the consumer. Will we see developers communicating more with consumers, and if so, will it be mass communication? Will it be will we see more marketing communication coming out of developers? Errol.
Yeah, if you're speaking about CREDAI, we've got a code of conduct in CREDAI for all our members. So that itself is a huge filter, right? So the other thing is trust needs to be earned. It can't be given. You can communicate what you want. You can say what you want. At the end of the day, customer will believe you if you have delivered in the past. And as long as you've got projects to back it up, that's not really an issue. So on that front, communicating to try and build up trust, I don't think is going to work. Your work has to work for you.
I would have to close this. We have come to the end of our allocated time, and thank you so much, Anil Nayak, for being so helpful in liaising with Magic Bricks from CREDAI side to make sure that such a wonderful panel could be here. So many CREDAI members have participated. Sudhir, would you like to make a closing comment? You opened with such a wonderful presentation. Would you like to make a closing comment?
Yeah, I think times continue to remain fluid, and they will stay so for a few months more. I think we've seen pretty much views across the spectrum. We heard some of the panelists say that despite the current environment, they've seen excellent sales. We also know that there are pockets out there in the market where there is a lot of distress. So I think we're seeing a lot of change which is happening there in the market. We're likely to see some consolidation. I think what I'd say is, from the Magic Bricks side, I think we will bring three things to the table. One, I think in uncertain times like these, we will continue to publish as much information, more insights as we can, and hopefully this should help both the developer community as well as our users to hopefully make better decisions. Two, I think we will leverage our strong product and technology base to bring new solutions which can help in current times. So like to share, we've launched live tours as a solution to the inability of buyers to make site visits, and there are more such solutions in the pipeline. And third, I think we'd like to leverage some of this good news of buyers back in the market, right, and create the kind of solutions that will enable developers to reach out to them. I think the hope is the market does bounce back, because it's in everybody's interest that market recovers, business resumes, and we go back to what we were doing 5 years ago, not 3 months ago. 5 years ago was the better times in real estate. Thank you so much. I think it was lovely speaking to all the CREDAI members. I wish we can do this more often. Anil, thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you, everybody from Magic Bricks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.